rebuilding. The catastrophic failure, a new start. Physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? You build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40 who focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. Welcome back to the Silverback Blueprint Podcast. This episode still sponsored by Hostile Gear. Head on over for some kick-ass jerseys, some shirts, some powerlifting belts. And you know what? I know a couple of you guys bought the belts on my advice as a fashion statement and walked around doing the grocery store. Well, I think it's time to up your game. I think along with that belt, what I think you need to get is a pair of wrist straps to help you support you on your bench press, which, yes, that's a really cool reason to wear it. But to take it even further as a fashion statement at the grocery store, keep wearing those wrist straps while you're in the dairy aisle, picking up your jugs of milk. Do they still do milks in jugs? I don't even know. Or in your bags of milk or whatever it is. You know, when you guys are getting out there, you're getting your double soy almond milk and stuff. Don't do that. Wear your wrist straps for good wrist support, and make sure that when you put it up on the conveyor belt that you make a large heaving noise, right? And make sure everyone sees you wearing the belt as well as the wrist straps and stuff. And nothing can go wrong doing that. Nothing can come out of it other than positivity, notoriety, and fame. And to do so, make sure you use the code SILVERBACK when you check out anything you pick up over at Hostile Gear. All kidding aside, guys, I really love the support of the brand. Thank you very much. It goes a long way to support the show, to support my kids, to support me. But it's just part of the passion and the dream of what I have to have a really cool brand that represents people working on themselves, rebuilding themselves, and putting effort into themselves, and not giving up on themselves. In fact, turn that shit around and become the best you possible. And that's really what I want people to think about when they think of the Hostile brand. So head on over, grab some cool shit, save some money, use Silverback at the checkout. And on today's episode, guys, episode number 42, we're going to talk about not taking ourselves too seriously. And we all have things we want to get done. And I find, especially if you're listening to this podcast, you're at a point where you want to improve. You're working on rebuilding yourself, creating the better you. And that's going to also be how you do things in your business, in your careers, in your families. We're getting to the point where we're trying to strive for just better things, higher levels, bringing our A+ game. And that's guys, it's all well and good. But we also have to be ready to accept the fact that not everything is going to go 100% according to plan. Progress isn't linear, which means it doesn't mean that it means that you're not moving forward every day, all the time. In fact, many times it's one step forward, 2 to 3 steps back. And we have to be ready for that. And I think that's what we're going at when we talk about not taking ourselves too seriously, in the fact that you got to give yourself a break sometimes, especially when you feel things aren't working out. A little bit of balance. We talked earlier about going out and having some different experiences and stepping outside your comfort zone a little bit, or just relaxing, just being around something and do something for the sake of doing it. Go to a ball game, go to a hockey game, go to an event, hang out with your significant other and just chill. Talk about something that isn't, in my case, isn't always about the business and isn't always about working out. Have a different conversation, which is very good because it gives you a little more balance in how you think and some other interests. It makes you probably a little more interesting to those around you that are around you all the time. That wish that sometimes we could just, take the foot off the gas pedal a little bit, which is good to do. And, you've heard all this shit like Rome wasn't built in a day. And like I said earlier, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, those get overused and, a little too lame after a while, but they came about it for a reason. And accept the fact that we're going to have some failures, guys. And I think that's really where we have to sit back and say, it's okay, right? We're going to have some stumbles. Not everything is going to be a home run. Once in a while, we'll get a grand slam, but we're going to strike out an awful lot. And in fact, the biggest successes that we see out there are the first ones that are going to tell you that they've had the most amount of failures along the way as well. It's very rare someone honestly comes up with an idea, decides to do something, and just never struggles and doesn't have the shit kicked out of him or her along the way and question why they're doing it and stuff. And in fact, if you're really trying to do something different and really trying to live to that level that you want to live, you're going to face a lot more of that adversity than people will ever tell you. In fact, the only ones that will tell you that are the people that have succeeded, and they usually wait until you've gone through it before they have a conversation with you, because we've all been in that situation where someone's asking your advice, but they don't want to listen to your advice, right? They don't want to hear the tough stuff. They don't want to hear that. So it's almost like you kind of have to wait till they've proven themselves a little bit before you'll have that next conversation, because we don't want to waste all our time and energy as well repeating ourselves when people aren't taking it, taking the advice and doing stuff, or aren't listening to us and stuff. And no matter where we're at, we're always ahead of somebody, and somebody's always asking us how we did what we've done so far. Even if we're, in my case, I've done a lot, but I have a lot more I want to do. So some people look at me and going, wow, talk to Curd, he knows all about this stuff. Meanwhile, I'm like, wow, I want to talk to this Steve guy because he fucking knows all about the next level, right? So we all go through it. So you got to take the good with the bad and understand, honestly, guys, if you're really trying to make a difference for yourself, you're really trying to create something, you're really trying to go to that next level, if you're really trying to follow that passion and that vision, you're going to have days where you're going to have trouble getting out of bed. You're going to have days where you're going to have trouble facing the world, because you're going to be in situations where you're like, I just don't even know how I'm going to get this. How am I going to make this payroll? How am I going to make this thing? Holy shit, this is coming due. I have that, right? Or, I'm supposed to have this project done by this certain time, or it's done, but geez, I don't feel it's good enough, right? For a lot of you, this resonates with you guys, right? Because it's a very real thing. If you're just going along, bumping along for the ride and piss and moan about everything and never really put any work in, then you probably not even listen to this podcast, because this isn't for you. I was moving some papers on the counter and Luke gave me the stink eye. Stop moving papers. So again, that's really part of the growth and the evolution of who you're becoming and who you want to become. Is you have to understand that there's days where you're going to have to literally just fucking laugh at yourself, right? You ever have those days that everything goes wrong and all of a sudden you just catch yourself, you're laughing because you just can't believe that this just happened as well, right? That kind of thing. And I think those are the days where we kind of have to surrender a little bit. Maybe those are the days we stand up and say, you know what? Let's shift gears. Let's just put this down to the side for a second, and let's go something else. Let's go for a walk. Let's stretch our legs. Let's make a phone call. Let's go get a bite to eat. Let's go work out. You know what I mean? Like, let's break that pattern, because sometimes we get caught in those crazy patterns and you'll spiral up, but you'll easily spiral down as well. And you got to stop that, right? And interrupt it, get up and just walk to another room, see what's going, you know what I mean? Like, just remove yourself from that situation, because sometimes it's a lot worse in our head than it really is in reality. But sometimes it's not too, guys. So again, right, learn to balance that shit out, right? If all you do, if your whole life is about work or your business and stuff, then you live and die by that one sword. You become a slave to it. And I don't ever want to become a slave to what I'm doing. I've been there. There's days where I'm like, oh, geez, you know what? I just need a day off, right? And, that usually comes when I've worked 37 days in a row and stuff. And when you're self-employed, I'll tell you this right now, when you're self-employed, you feel guilty taking some time off, because you feel like you're taking your foot off the gas pedal, because at the end of the day, you get paid for done. You get paid for what's working. You don't get paid for, hey, you know what? That's all right. I get paid every 2 weeks no matter what. I'll just step out and we'll come back on Monday. That's a different world. That's a different life. There's nothing wrong with it, but that's not what a business life is. That's not what the entrepreneur's life is overall. And it just that doesn't happen that way. It doesn't work that way. So we need to work on better life balance, and we need to get out there and realize, hey, you know what? I just need to take this 2 days off, right? And fuck it. You'll find a way, and you don't have to go to Europe for 3 days. Just go to your backyard. Just go for a drive, right? Just break up, take your mind off things, and give yourself a chance to unwind. In training, we talk about deload, right? When we're training hard for a competition or working really hard, the nervous system gets beat up, it gets tired, everything just feels heavy. Well, that's when you want to incorporate a deload. In fact, we try to incorporate deloads before we get to that level to avoid that, because once you hit that level where everything gets to be too much, it's really hard for the next few weeks or few months to get past that, right? So what we try to do in our training is cycle in some deloads to get ahead of that. Before it gets to that point, we're already in a deload. And what a deload means is we reduce our volume, we reduce our intensity, drop it down to 30 or 40% of what we normally do for 1 or 2 weeks, just to let the body catch up, let the body take a breath. Well, the same with our minds, the same with our bodies, the same with our psyche and our spirit, right? Some people, it's all about that weekend, right? You know, they work all week long to get to the weekend. If that works for you, that's great. You know, for some of us, that doesn't work for me. That's not how I'm wired. But what I do need to do is say, you know what? Every couple of weeks, I like to hit the road and drive and see some gyms and stores that carry our brand. Have some conversations, bring them out some product, see what they're thinking, you know, have some cool conversations, get some fresh air, right? That kind of stuff. See what's going on. And then come back. And, you know, I always find that refreshing and energetic and stuff like that. And it's funny because I was just thinking about that this morning because I haven't done that in about 2 or 3 weeks. So it's time. It's time to do my Friday drive, as I like to say. Get up early on Friday and go hit a couple of clients up and see how they're doing. Have a conversation, you know, just shoot the shit. And then, you know what, in the car, it's beautiful out, especially, you know, again, this is coming out in November, but right now we're at the end of September. It's like 38 degrees outside. It's ridiculous. We're having our summer in September. So what a great time to get outside with the sunshine and drive and the windows down, listen to some music, listen to a podcast, listen to a podcast, and just clear your head, change the scenery, go do some stuff, right? So again, that's a deload. Right? For some people, they work super hard all year long and they have 2 trips down south every year and that's how they do it. You could look on one end going, well, that's a lot of money. Or you could look at the other end going, wow, you know what? They're investing in themselves. They're realizing how hard they work and they want to do that to have that time to unwind, to reap the benefits of all the work they're putting in, recharge, and then come back and do it. To me, I think that's a great idea. I think that's fantastic, right? There's people out there that don't work very hard and feel they need breaks all the time. That's fine. That's their gig. Don't fucking, you know, sometimes we do that. We're working really hard and we see that and we have some animosity towards that. And listen, fuck that noise. Don't worry about those people. Don't worry what they're doing. Usually if you find yourself catching yourself doing that, it's a sign that you need a bit of a break. So maybe look at it that way, as a signal that way, that kind of stuff, right? We think what we think for reasons. Try to figure out why we think that and then try to change that thought process as well. But it all falls into, you know, just not taking yourself so serious all the time, right? Understand that you need to give yourself a break sometime. And I'm talking about people that are striving, people that are pushing, people that aren't happy with their circumstances and are working hard to change that, right? I feel you. I get it. I 100% appreciate that. You know, I get it. But at the same time, I've also learned the value of unplug for a day. Maybe you can't take the whole day off, but you know what? Maybe you can take the afternoon off and go see a movie. Do you know what I mean? Do that, right? Find yourself a couple hours, play a little bit of hooky and stuff like that. You deserve it, right? Make sure you deserve it too, though, at the same token, right? Don't just sit there and go, oh, what a tough 2 hours of work on Monday. I need the rest of the day off, right? I don't suggest that either. But again, ups and downs are coming. There's going to be some grinds for sure. The bigger the vision, the more important it is, the bigger the obstacles are coming your way. So you got to brace yourself. You got to be ready to take that punch in the stomach and that kick in the pills. But every once in a while, you need a break from that so you can go home and ice that shit up, right? Guys, that's all I got for today. Head on over to iTunes. Give us a 5-star review. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Reach out if you have any questions, comments, or ideas at kurdhaas@gmail.com, and I'll talk to you guys later.